Hi, and welcome to the second video in the four-part series on active reading. In the last video, we had an overview of what active reading is and why it's a good idea. Don't forget, you need to handwrite your notes in the notes pages that were provided for you and printed out, or just on notebook paper. Either way, you're going to take screenshots of them and upload them to your digital notebook. Remember, the beauty of a recorded lesson is that you can pause and rewind as much as you need. So stop when you need to jot stuff down. Don't try to write exactly while I'm talking. So let's get started. We all have feelings while we're reading. Enjoyment, frustration, confusion, delight, fascination, boredom, and wonder. Active reading is about recognizing these emotional responses and thinking about why those combinations of words created that effect in us and how we can achieve those effects in our own writing or avoid them. In this class, that's exactly what we're going to be doing, because not all writing is literary analysis. Only English majors do that. There's a lot of real writing in the real world, and we'll be practicing with some of those types. Film and restaurant reviews, op-eds, informational writing to explain your ideas. All of it depends on good writing skills. So we will be learning those skills in this class by looking at books that you choose, and some that I choose, as models of good writing. And then we'll practice using those same skills in our own writing. It used to be that a young person used to go to the master of their craft to learn the skills from them. And then they become one of their own. So carpenters, blacksmiths, bakers, painters, what have you. Young people came and worked for them. Often they would be ignored or given mundane tasks and just exist in the world of that master. Rembrandt is famous for this type of training. He would make his apprentices do boring tasks like filling in backgrounds or running errands or preparing canvases for years before they got to start actually creating paintings. So this reveals that mastering a craft is much more than technique. A piece of writing could be technically perfect, but still kind of boring. It shows us that learning from a master takes a willingness to observe and learn far beyond said techniques. When we read, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, we become immersed in the way of the writer seeing, feeling, and expressing. And if you find a book that really piques your interest, you should study how the author achieved that effect in you. Because even if writing isn't your passion, and for very few people it is, but you know you're going to need it for your business or history class or for a future job or for practical reasons, then reading about what you are passionate about and then, key point, observing how it spins its magic can be a sideways route into the magic of words, and you can write passionately in the same way. Active reading is about becoming aware of this immersion and observing what we enjoy or don't enjoy about a piece of writing. It's a sensitivity to tone and nuance, and it takes time to learn. To be an apprentice is to be always ready to learn. And we have had apprentices of all kinds in our lives, our teachers, our caregivers. We learned by reading adults, not just what they actually had to say, but how they were, or their style and their perspective. So when we read, we can implicitly learn from our chosen authors from how they are, not just what they say. We can learn about the mood in which things are done. We might be able to see how to craft a gripping dialogue, or see the ability of how to spin suspense, or touch something so honest it brings tears to the eyes of readers. Here are some of the ways that writers cast their spells. Just like carpenters have a toolbox full of tools like hammers and nails and drills that they use to create their works, writers have many tools in their writing as well. The first is diction, which basically just means words, but words have more than one meaning: connotation and denotation. Denotation is the dictionary definition of a word. Connotation are those other meanings that a word carries with them. So authors carefully choose words to convey an idea or a mood, and those words create details, and that creates images to help the reader visualize the idea or the concept, which is what we talked about earlier in the last video. And ultimately, those words and details and images contribute to the author's tone or their attitude for their subject. An author might be extremely critical on a topic or might be celebrating a topic, and you can hear that feeling through the words and details that they've chosen to include. In addition, the way an author puts sentences together crafts tone as well. It's called syntax. An author might have a series of very short sentences to create tension, or they might have long-winded sentences with lots of clauses and phrases that slows things down. They might use fragments or semicolons or exclamation points in a purposeful way. An author takes time to plan out the structure of the text and thinks about how ideas build on each other. How does one detail introduce an idea? And then how does another detail build on that idea? An author has to consider point of view. From where is the story told? Does it come from a character within the storyline telling their own perspective or the perspective of somebody else? Or is the narrator someone outside of the story? Those decisions have a radical effect on the meaning of the piece. Authors also frequently use figurative language, which is not supposed to be taken literally. For example, if an author says that a character has stringy spaghetti hair, you don't think that a character has his dinner on his head. But by using that image of stringy spaghetti hair, we can guess that the author has feelings about that hair and about the character that the hair belongs to. Some of the other elements of figurative language are similes, metaphors, personification, analogies, hyperbole, symbolism, etc. And these have meaning that goes beyond the literal. We're going to delve more deeply into these elements in a future lesson, but if you notice them right now, it's a really good idea to make a note in the margins, in your annotations. Authors frequently use sound devices to draw attention to a specific line or a specific moment, or to create a rhythm in the text. Those sound devices are alliteration and consonants and assonants, all which have to do with the repetition of a letter sound. Tongue twisters fall into this category: black bug's blood, or she sells seashells down by the seashore. Then there's onomatopoeia, which is where a word sounds like the sound that it makes. Authors don't use every single tool in their toolbox every time they write, but those are tools that they use in combination to create bigger ideas. In this video, we reviewed the fact that authors are able to create interest and engagement in their stories through techniques that connect subconsciously the material with the reader. Their form, the way they craft their stories, influences whether the audience connects and thus achieves the goal or the ideas they want to present. In the next video, we'll talk about some larger pieces of the text, character and theme, two elements of the story that are vital in engaging and connecting with the readers. So when you're ready, I'll join you there.